Hey guys, it's Hardy here to do a 9.0 Shadowlands Affliction Warlock PvE guide for the beginning of Shadowlands going into Castle Nathria. We just have a few days until Heroic and Normal launch for the raid, and then obviously Mythic the week after. So I just want to do a quick groundwork video touching on everything that's changed and what we've gotten in regards to conduits, legendaries, soulbinds, all that stuff, rotation, how that changes with talents and all that. And this is all assuming that you've at least know the differences between BFA Warlock and Shadowlands Warlock. And if you don't, I do have a video that I'll put in the description of the fundamental class changes, like with spells and talents and all that good stuff. But yeah, let's just get right into it, touching on talents. And I'm going to try to not make this video too super long, but I do have a tendency to ramble sometimes, so I'm going to try and avoid that. We pretty much have two major builds as Affliction. It's single target and cleave, and most of the fights are pretty black and white in that regard. It's either single target or cleave with some adds. So for single target, our build is going to look like Drain Soul, Siphon Life, Burning Rush, Phantom Singularity, Mortal Coil, Haunt, and Dark Soul Misery. This kind of build will be running on fights like Shriekwing, on Artificer, on Hungering Destroyer, Sludge Fist, Council of Blood, and then possibly Sardonathrius. The reason I say maybe on Sardonathrius is that we haven't seen the third phase yet, especially on Mythic. So I think the fight is majority cleave, because the single target isn't that long in the first phase, and then the second phase is two target cleave with adds sort of all over the room. And I think the third phase, based on the dungeon journal, is single target, but we have no idea what it's going to look like on Mythic, so that could change. So I'm not really going to give a prediction on that, but I'm going to guess we'd probably run the more cleave centric build, which I'll discuss in a second. Actually, I'll do it right now. The cleave build is going to look like Absolute Corruption instead of Siphon Life, and then Vile Taint instead of Phantom Singularity, and then possibly, but most likely not, Dark Caller instead of Haunt. We're going to run this kind of build on fights like pretty much every other fight that I didn't already mention, like Huntsman Altimore, Sun King's Salvation, Lady Nerva Darkfane, Stolen Journals, and then possibly Sardonathrius. The reason why this build is going to be the go-to on fights like that is because Absolute Corruption obviously is permanent. It'll do more damage. It makes it less annoying if you have to maintain dots on 3 or 4 adds along with the boss. It's just going to end up providing more damage and more ease of using your Malefic Rapture, and you can more prioritize on keeping up agonies and all that. And then Vile Taint, obviously, because it's an AoE dot, it's huge for Malefic Rapture, and it's just great AoE damage baseline anyways. The only fight that I think, the only fight in general that you would take Dark Caller on is if the adds line up with every 2 minutes of the fight. If it does that, then Dark Caller is amazing, because you'll always have your Dark Caller for when the ads spawn. However, I don't think that's super realistic, because most fights are either sort of percentage based on when the ads spawn, or it's like a timer that's shorter than 2 minutes. And Haunt is just too good that unless Dark Caller is perfect for that fight, you're going to take Haunt for 90% of the fights. I'd say if there's 10 fights, you'll take it for 8 or 9. So again, yeah, this is the cleave build, and then this is the single target build. That's pretty much touching on talents super fast. Touching on covenants, the two best covenants for Affliction are Night Fae and Kyrian, and damage wise they're actually super close on single target. They're really close. The difference, and the reason why I chose Night Fae over Kyrian, is the ability that I'm currently in right now is this Fox ability. It gives you a dash. It's on a 1.5 minute cooldown, and it lasts 12 seconds. And the biggest thing that Warlock has always lacked since forever is obviously mobility. So having this is huge for raids. Kyrian gives you a bonus health pot that removes a bunch of stuff, and that's good. But when I think of a Warlock, I don't think of them being squishy like a mage or I don't know, like a hunter or something. I think of them being really slow and really clunky. So to have this ability is huge for raids. It's huge for everything, like Mythic Plus, open world content, all that. So not only is this great, it is also accompanied by great soulbinds, which we can jump into right now. The two best soulbinds for Night Fae are Naya and Dreamweaver. Naya is great because it has the Grove Invigoration buff, which basically just means that whenever you use your Soul Rot ability, which is our Covenant damaging ability, it's basically just a 1 minute sort of set it and forget it. Don't have to do anything with it. It's super easy, super nice, and just does a bunch of damage. So whenever you use that ability with Naya, you gain an automatic 8 stacks of the buff, which is 25 mastery each. So every 1 minute, you're just baseline getting 200 mastery. And that's assuming that you don't have any other stacks just from passively getting it by dealing damage. So that's really good considering that mastery is our best stat. And it's just huge because it surrounds our cooldown too. The reason why Dreamweaver is so good and why it's not, as good now is that we thought that for the first week of Mythic, so in 2 weeks from now, well, I guess like a week and a half from now, we thought we were going to have 2 potency conduit slots. But we were wrong, and we're actually 1 renown behind, and we're not going to have this until the second week of Mythic. So by the second week of Mythic, Dreamweaver could very well be the play because we'll get 2 conduit slots. But as of right now, guaranteed 100% for the next at least 2.5 weeks, we're going to be playing Naya if you're an Ardent Willed Warlock. And then speaking of conduits, and then if you are playing Kyrian, go Pelagos. That's all you got now. Just go Pelagos. The other 2 are horrible, and just have fun with that. But yeah, nothing really going into much with that. The Pelagos ability is like when you use your Scouring Tithe, it spawns mastery orbs every 1 or 2 seconds, so you have to pick those up and it gives you mastery, and it's really, really good. It's kind of annoying because you don't want to have to move around every 45 seconds or whatever that ability has a cooldown of. So yeah, it's a really good ability, but I definitely prefer Naya over Pelagos. As for the conduits themselves, the best one for definitely for single target, and not even just for everything for Affliction, is Focus Malignancy, which is just Malefic Rapture damage when it's suffering from UA, so it basically just means single target Malefic Rapture damage. It's really, really good. You're going to want to put that in. I don't have it in right now because I like playing multiple specs, and Soul Rot, this one's good for all specs, but this one's only good for Affliction. But I'll obviously put this in by the time I'm raiding, and that's going to be your best. If you are playing Dreamweaver, or if you are playing Naya and you're watching this video in the future, and you have 2 potency conduit slots, you want to go Cold Embrace. So Focus Malignancy and Cold Embrace, these are going to be your 2 best. It just gives you flat out increased damage from your Shadow Embrace, so it's really, really good. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Covenant, Soulbinds, and Conduits. Pretty black and white. We can quickly touch on legendaries. The legendary that I will be making week 1 of Mythic is going to be the Relic of Demonic Synergy. It's damage done by your primary demon has a chance to grant the other one, by you or your primary demon, has a chance to grant the other one 10% increased damage for 15 seconds. It's really good, obviously, because it's just a flat out 10% increased damage occasionally, and from what I've seen from people using it and based on sims, it has a really good uptime. So this will be the go-to. It sims the highest, and also a reason why I really, really love it is it's usable by all specs, and it's actually best for both Affliction and Demonology. It's good. It's good for Destro, but it's definitely not best. But you can still obviously use it as Destro. It's just a damage buff, and Destro uses pets still. So the reason why I love this one over the Agony one or over Malefic Wrath is that if I want to swap to Destro for a fight, or if I want to play Demonology for a Mythic Plus, I can, and I'm not going to lose a significant amount of damage just because I don't have the right legendary. So I love that, and I'm just glad it's the best because I really did not want to have to use Malefic Wrath. I think it's super clunky and super just not fun to play around. So again, I'm going Relic of Demonic Synergy. I think the vast majority of Warlocks that actually care about their damage will be doing the same. So That's it for legendaries. Oh, and quickly, you can craft it on the head and shoulder. I think the best way of checking for you is just to sim it, but I saying the best for me is putting it on my head. I'm assuming it's telling me to do this, and why it's telling most people to do this is because off of Stone Legion Journals, it drops, or sorry, off of Sarnathrius, it drops a shoulder, and both bosses, like neither of them drop a helm. And if you didn't know, the last two bosses of raids now have like a higher item level. So like, if we look at Mythic, Sarnathrius and Stone Legion General both drop 233, and then every boss before it drops 226. So it's probably telling me to put it on the helm, because if I put it on the shoulder, I can't wear this shoulder, obviously, and then I'm losing a lot of hints. So I'm going to be crafting it on my helm. I'm pretty sure most people should be doing that, but again, sim it just to make sure. You can never go wrong with that, pretty much. And yeah, I guess we can touch on stats super quickly. Again, preface, sim your stat weights on raid bots. That'll be the best way of telling. But if you just want to overall sort of rule of thumb what stats are going to be best, you want intellect over everything. Every single class wants their main stat over everything, because we're so starved of it in the beginning of an expansion. You want intellect over everything, so that usually means that the highest item level piece that you have is usually going to be the best. Always sim it, but 9 times out of 10, if you have a item level 200 piece and it has bad stats, and you have an item level 150 piece and it has best stats, you'll want the higher item level piece. Even though it has like bad stats, it still has way more intellect. So that's that. That's how the PM expansion works. Sadly, well, not sadly, but interestingly, I'll say that. And then after intellect, you want mastery over haste, crit, and then verse. Right now, for me at least, all of these are pretty equal, except for verse. Verse is pretty behind. But I want a ton of mastery, and then haste and crit are sort of semi-equal. But like for the legendary, for example, since you can put your own 2 stats on it that you choose, I'll be doing haste mastery for sure. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. I guess I can touch on trinkets real quick going into the raid. I think the highest sim trinket right now, if I remember checking correctly, is this trinket from the other side. It's pretty much like, it doesn't say what it does, but you can look it up. It's a 3-minute cooldown, and it does 5 things, assuming that they can be done. So if it will try, for example, if your health is like under 30%, it will heal you. If not, it won't do that. If your healer's mana is under 20%, it'll give them mana. If not, it won't do that. If the target you're attacking is in execute range, you'll do damage to them. If not, it won't do that, obviously. And then there's like 2 other things. If it doesn't do any of those, it gives you your best secondary stat, like your highest secondary stat. So for us, it should give us mastery, because we have the most of that, followed closely by haste. And it's like apparently like anywhere from like 400 to 500 mastery, maybe even more, every 3 minutes, which is huge. That's literally doubling my mastery almost. So if you have that every 3 minutes, that's your dark glare, like being in a fight, and then you can use it for your next dark glare. I mean, that's ginormous, assuming that it doesn't, give you healer mana, which would obviously suck. But obviously in the beginning of a fight, your healer will be full mana, you'll be full health, and you'll definitely get it once, and then by 3 minutes into the fight, your healer shouldn't be him anyways. So really, really good trinket. I'm definitely going to be going for that hardcore spamming this dungeon when Mythic Plus comes out to get it going into Mythic. And yeah, and then for the second trinket, I think that the second best is, yeah, it is. So the second best is from the raid, and it is off Artificer Zymox, and it is the Glyph of Assimilation. It's an intellect stat stick that does a certain amount of arcane damage, and then if they die, it gives you mastery. I don't really know why this is the best, or one of the best on single target, when, I mean, I guess it is an int trinket, and it does do a good amount of damage every minute 30, but like the target, like on a single target fight, you typically won't have a target that will die. But like, think of this on like a fight like, I don't know, Council, where there are ads that spawn, or like Sun King, or I think probably Huntsman too, Lady of Dark Fane, all those fights. This could be really good to give you that much mastery. I mean, it's huge. So this is your second best trinket. I'm going to try and hopefully get this. I mean, obviously I can't really target it because we don't have bonus rolls anymore and all that. So I'll just be crossing my fingers, I guess. And so my best case scenario going into Mythic Week, I want this trinket and then the one from the other side. So best case scenario is that. And then if I don't get one of those, hopefully I get at least one of them. For my other trinket, I'll be using this, the Dark Moon deck. You can buy it off the auction house. It should only be a few thousand gold unless you're on a really small server. And it's good. It just has a bunch of intellect. It just does shadow damage every minute 30, and then it also makes the enemy that you hit with it or enemies take increased crit damage. So it all sounds good to me. It seems really well, and that's going to be the setup that I'm going to be going. So just touch on trinkets. That took a little longer than I thought it would, but they're pretty interesting trinkets, and they're that's what we're looking at for the best ones right now. I think that's pretty much all of that for just talking about the class. We're almost done, I promise. Now I just want to quickly talk about the rotation and how it's changed from pre-patch. It hasn't changed a ton. So if you've seen that video that I made, or if you just know the rotation in general, it's very similar. The only difference is that we now have Shadow Embrace. So you want to make sure that before you start spamming your Malefic Raptures in your opener, you have those 3 stacks, because that 9% damage from all those Malefic Raptures is going to be a big difference. So, like a usual opener before would have looked like Haunt precast into Agony immediately, into UA, into Siphon Life, and then Corruption, Fam Singularity, Soul Rot, use your Dark Glare, and then go. Right after we use our Dark Glare, instead of going, we're going to Drain Soul twice, just so we get 2 ticks of it, not 2 casts, just so we get the 3 stacks, and then we're going to start spamming. So I'll just do it, since I just explained it, I'll just do it real quick, and then if you want to slow it down or anything, you can. Hopefully I don't mess up. It'll be pretty awkward. I'll do a pull 10 real quick, just so I have something to go off of. I'll probably Haunt at like 1.5 seconds, 1.6 seconds, something like that. So like right now, straight into Agony, UA, into Siphon Life, into Corruption, into Fam Singularity, into Soul Rot, Dark Glare and Dark Soul, Drain Soul, and then Trinket, and then just go. Just send it. And then yeah. And then your rotation priority is to maintain dots. Try to get them at the pandemic window. And then yeah, the important thing with Soul Shard management is that since Soul Rot is on a 1-minute cooldown and Fam Singularity is on a 45-second cooldown, it's not worth to hold them so they line up. So, like back in the day, I don't want to say back in the day because it wasn't that long ago, but before Soul Rot, you would always want to hold your cooldowns for a specific time, for a specific win, or not your cooldowns, but your shards. But now, as long as you have either Soul Rot or Fam Singularity on the target, and you're not overcapped, you want to spam only in those windows. Like, you don't need to wait for both of them to be up, if that makes any sense. So since I have Fam Singularity up, I just dumped all my Soul Shards. And since I have Soul Rot coming up, I can dump again. I can even use my... I should have used my Dark Moon Trinket a while ago, but I just haven't really been paying attention. And then, yeah. Soul Rot's going away, so now I don't want to spend any shards, right? Because I don't have the maximum amount of dots I can have up. So I want to hold until Fam Singularity is back up. So 13 seconds. The only time that you want to make sure you not spend it all and just only want to spend if you're overcapping is probably like 45 seconds from your Dark Glare, because you're obviously going to want to have 4 or 5 shards when that comes up. So we have Fam Singularity up, and then I have my Trinket still, so we'll put that up, and then we can dump. So since we still have like 45 seconds until we need to hold for Dark Glare. And then yeah, maintain dots, still maintain dots, and then yeah, I don't need to keep going because I think you got the point. And then just practice on train dummy, and muscle memory is all it is for every single class in this game. So that's about it. I think I've pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover. My main takeaways are simming is key. Simming is, you can do simming for stat weights, for gear, for rotations. Just so you can see what rotation is best. All that stuff sim. You can ask me questions. I will answer hopefully everything that I can in the comments, or if you message me in game. Sort of weak auras, add-ons, just overall class questions. Feel free to ask. I love answering them. And yeah, this is my first Shadowlands video. I'm excited for what I'm going to hopefully make in this expansion. As we're killing bosses, I'm going to post those videos along with hopefully a commentary of what I'm doing, not only for just Affliction Warlocks, but for, anybody that's looking for like DPS trying to position on a fight. So I'm excited to do all that. I'm excited for a lot of things this expansion, and I'm glad you guys are here with me on the ride. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know, and I hope you guys have a great day. Peace.